So we're going to get started, so Tony is going to come up and talk.
All right. A little too tall for me, I'm sorry. Oh my God. All right, can you hear me? Yes. So I welcome to our, gosh, this is our fourth Rapid Process Improvement Workshop. And I just wanted to offer a few comments. So 18 months ago, we partnered with Virginia Mason to bring a way of improving work every day to HIghline, the clinics, the hospital. And it took about 6 months to kind of launch and get organized. And so about a year ago to the day, we had our very first Rapid Process Improvement Workshop. We decided to start in the clinics and in primary care. And, you know, a year later, it's an incredibly evolving, mature movement. We've got leaders every day improving processes and building on the work that started a year ago. I think you'll see that today in this fourth RPIW. But I want to take a moment to thank all the staff who trailblazed this work, and then all the leaders in the room, because, you know, the reason the work is so mature and keeps getting better is because people believe in it and they're sticking to it, and they're not giving up when it gets hard, and they're learning and growing, and that is so powerful. So I want to thank every single leader in this room who's been a part of the work over the last 18 months, and all of you who are getting ready to do this work, get excited. Your lives are going to change for the better. And more importantly, all of this is about improving how we serve our patients and making sure that all of us who serve patients do so joyfully, because it's really easy to do a great job. That is what all of this boils down to. It's really, really good. So with that, I'm going to hand back to Tony Black, and we'll find out what the team's been up to this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to now introduce Erica Chang, KPO Specialist, who served as workshop lead, and we will hop into our formal RPIW report out. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. We'll be doing a 15-minute presentation. So, welcome. We are here today because we are discussing our Rapid Process Improvement Workshop number 3 for our primary care clinics. We worked with the 5 HIghline clinics to really do some fantastic work around scheduling and access. These guys really epitomize our strategic priorities of quality, safety, and patient experience. They epitomize reflecting on one CHI. I'm so proud of them. The theme of our workshop was to create a seamless flow of patients from appointment request to availability of appointment to be scheduled when the patient desires. I'm so excited for you guys to hear about what the great work that we did, and I'm going to pass it off to the team.
So my name is Lee Channel. I'm a KPO specialist, and I am the team lead for this workshop. So one of the first things that we did is we went to the Gemba. We did lots of observations and lots of data collection. From this, we developed our value stream map. So from the patient's perspective, you would think scheduling an appointment is a simple process, but as you can see, it's not. In the current state, there's a lot of defects, waste, and variations, as indicated by the cloud burst on this map. In fact, 75% of the time that we currently spend scheduling an appointment is non-value added. This is our TAC time calculation sheet. This is how we know what pace we need to do our work to meet our demand. In this process, our TAC time is 4.38 minutes. This is our target progress report. This is how we set our metrics and collect data to see how our processes are doing. The one I want to point out is our sub-lead time, around the time it takes when a patient needs to schedule an appointment. However, due to lack of schedule availability, the patient is not able to get in. So the time it takes to process that appointment is 50 minutes. This is what we call a process flow map. So at the beginning of the week, the team members got together and was able to outline all the different steps and the different tools needed for the process. The peaks, which there are many, is indicative of the waste, variation, and defects where we have opportunities for improvement in the process.
Hello everyone, my name is Harpender. I'm an MA at a Buren Clinic. And on our second day of our RIPW, we actually got this idea form. That's where we got our idea for our appointment times. So we looked into that, and then on the next page, as you see this graph, so as in on the blue bar, it shows FMG available appointment times. As of right now, we have 91 appointment times. And the orange, it shows that just for HIghline region, we used up to 53 appointment types just in 2018, and most of them were just used once or twice in the whole 2018. And the green, it states our future state for our appointment type that will bring it down to, after we sort it through using 5S, it will bring it to 14. So from 53 to 14. So on the next slide, as you can see, we have them all color-coded and sorted. And the one in pink are the ones that the visit types used by only one clinic, causing duplicate visit types. Orange is just the CTMD and HG visits types that are not used at all. The greens are the used by specialty schedulers. They will be removed from primary care provider scheduling. They'll still stay on their end, but just will be removed from our end. The yellow are the ones that we decided to keep, so that's the one from 53 to 14, and that will be the one that we're going to be choose from, so that means less appointment types to choose from, less errors, and less confusion. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Larissa Martin. I work as a family practice physician for Seahurst Clinic. So this is near my heart. Almost every day of my life starts from looking at my schedule. So after we sorted out and simplified a long list into 14 types of appointments, we started looking into how do we convey all the important information to the providers and yet make scheduling user-friendly for PARS. We created scheduling note guidelines. Then we needed to sort out and simplify them as well, to make it into 3-4 concise lines of questions, essential questions that providers need. Then we looked into appointment notes screen, and we realized that all the information we were planning to put in the appointment notes wouldn't fit there. It was too small, it had limitations for the number of characters. We found a solution. We decided to use expanded notes box, which is on the left. That box could accommodate all scheduling guideline notes. So now IT department is going to help us by linking each visit type with corresponding note descriptors. And this will eliminate waste of time for PARS.
Good afternoon. My name is Priya Bakari. I'm one of the family physicians, and I'm one of the providers that has been using the standard template that you see where our visits appointments are divided between 15 and 30 minutes. Over the years, we have added many more Epic release appointment scheduling tools, which include MyChart as well as FastPass and the standards tools. And so there's been a lot of confusion about what constitutes a 15-minute versus a 30-minute appointment. There has been no consensus among the providers, despite many discussions in the past. This causes variability in how many patients I can see in an hour. It ranges anywhere from 2 to 4 patients. With 4 patients, I feel I am rushed and overwhelmed and subjectively feel like I'm providing poor care. And occasionally, there's the opportunity to have 6 15-minute appointments in a row, and this provides limited patient access, decreased provider and patient satisfaction. We were tasked as part of the template team to come up with a way that would decrease these issues. As well, we also learned not all providers have same-day holds on their schedules, and for that reason, those same-day holds were taken prior to the same-day appointments being needed.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Nikki Heffernan, and I am the Access Management Specialist with the Patient Access Department. Dr. Bakari, Dr. Jansen, and I worked through the 5S agreement and mistake-proofing processes to reduce the variability, the scheduling errors, and the limited access we're currently experiencing in our clinics. As a result, we were able to come up with a standard scheduling template of all 20-minute appointment slots. In addition to the 20-minute appointment slots, we will be utilizing session limits, schedule blocks, and reduced schedule holds in order to give some control of the schedule back to the providers, while also creating more open access for our patients and a simpler scheduling process for our staff. With that said, we have already updated all of the provider templates for both family medicine and internal medicine providers in the Burien office to follow this all 20-minute schedule effective June 3rd. And on the screen is an example template of one of those providers with the new 20-minute template. This template, compared to the current state of the 1530, allows for an additional 14 patients to be served over the course of the week, and you can see there are slots held for same-day appointments. We also have buy-in from several providers in our neighboring clinics and have created some sample templates for them to review prior to us building it live in the Epic environment. Once we have these sample templates approved, our plan is to train the clinic managers and supervisors in a classroom setting so they can make real-time template updates. We will also provide them with the tools they will need to maintain those new templates and convert additional templates going forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm the lead PAR from the Westwood Clinic, and I took part of the scheduling team. I'd like to start off with a quote from one of our patients, Madge. She was able to observe our process. She said, "You should never complain unless you're willing to make it better." Very wise. So our current process of scheduling looks something like this for our PARs. We see the reds, meaning that there are no openings available, and then we see the greens, meaning that there are availability. Once a patient calls us, sets up an appointment, tells us what they want, time, day, then we go for that hunt. We search for that green, and we offer that appointment. Patient, it might not comply with the patient, so we repeat this process over and over again until the patient accepts an appointment. So we see that there's a lot of back and forth, and this is a lot of waste. So even though we want to put our patient as number one, with manual scheduling, it does have a lot of time waste and room for errors, and is not efficient.
Hello, and my name is Lexi Steffens, and I am the Patient Access Supervisor for the Centralized Call Center in Tacoma. The tools that we would like to utilize in order to help cut out the waste from the manual scheduling process and to make the scheduling more efficient is by using the function in Epic called Auto Scheduler, as well as to utilize the cross-scheduling process. The Auto Schedule function allows for schedulers to simply plug in the desired visit type and the provider's name into the box and then click search. Epic then will automatically search and find that provider's first available appointment. Schedulers can also select the Multiple Solutions tab in order to give the patient multiple options of different dates and times for availability. Secondly, with the cross-scheduling process, this allows for schedulers to place patients onto different providers' schedules if they call into the clinic and their own PCP has no same-day or next-day availability and they are needing to be seen for an acute issue. With the use of these tools, scheduling will be more efficient and patients will have better access to care when they need it the most. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Edina, and I am a PAR at Seahurst Clinic. In the beginning of the week, we have this slide that shows all of the processes that take place to make an appointment, and it's very convoluted. By doing the RIPW, we have created this, which is a much smoother, simpler path. We have standardized the process through the auto scheduler, and by using the auto scheduler, we have increased productivity, decreased chance of error. We are adhering to the provider's session limits and create increased patient satisfaction, which then would create what Madge said, a happier patient means more of them.
Hi, my name is Danai. I'm a medical assistant at Westwood Clinic. Our team is working to improve scheduling for PARS, nurses, and MS. And during our observation at the Buren Clinic workflow, we found that a lot of time being wasted. As you see the clock there, time is very precious. We found that nurses are typing very long messages, and there's a lot of back and forth between provider, nurses, and MS and PARS, sharing the same information. We also know that many clinics don't have the same standardized work, making things more difficult for patients to be seen. And for all of that, we have created smart phrases. So nurses are going to be happy for that, and MS and PARS. And Kelly, my partner, will talk to you about it. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Kelvin. I'm a PAR over at the Buren Clinic. And just like Danae mentioned earlier, the smart phrases is our primary solutions to this wasted time. And what I have here is that I created a small little cheat sheets, and it's going to be a growing cheat sheets for the smart phrases that the front desk and the back desk will have access to. And for this example, I'm going to be using one of the triage protocols where when it comes to screening for triage patients, we look for the red and the yellow symptoms. And for those ones are the more urgent ones, and we need to address them right away. And for that, the nurses will be able to utilize those smart phrases that will pull up this list of questionnaires, and they can easily navigate through this whole list, and they'll be able to get the patients documented really, really quickly. And this really helps eliminate the long texting, the long manual handwriting, which can cause a lot of errors and a lot of repeats and a lot of back and forths. So this really helps eliminate that. And for the PAR side of it, we also created a message where there will be for capturing the green symptoms, which are more acute types of things, where we can eliminate that from the spot, and we can make an appointment via either the same day scheduling or using the cross scheduling that we had mentioned earlier. And here is a percent load charts which describes some of the workloads and the cycle times that the operators, which are the nurses, the PARs, and the MAs have been experiencing throughout the workflow. And as you can see, the nurses have a really high cycle time in comparison to the tech time, as they're way above the average. And we want to eliminate that and reduce that by implementing these smart phrases. And here is the future state of what we're looking to achieve by implementing it, by eliminating the whole nurses the cycle time loads, which is the ones that we can capture right from the get-go, the green symptoms. And then by distributing some of those workloads to the PARs and the MAs, so which will further eliminates the workloads from the nurses, allowing them to contact and reach out to more urgent patients. And these smart phrases can easily be implemented by using a standardized, by smart phrases, which is accessible to all the clinics who are using the Epic systems. And by doing that, we can easily standardize and workflows among many clinics, either be large or small, and this really helps with the process and reduce variation.
This is our future state value stream map. So based on the team, or the work that the team has done this week, all of the red X's has been waste that has been eliminated from the process. So this means from prior, 75% of the non-value added work has now been reduced to 4%. On our target progress reports, one of the targets that we were measuring was the variability with the provider schedules and appointment types. By applying 5S, we have been able to increase the level of achievement from a level 1 to a level 2. And then finally, at the end of the week, the team created a future state process flow map. So as you can see visually, it's a much more standardized and easy to follow process. There is many less pink stickies. So that means 68% of the waste will be eliminated in this future state. So from the patient perspective, when they need an appointment, they can call and get an appointment when they need it and do so within 3 minutes.
Hi there, my name is Alyssa Matthews. I'm the clinic supervisor down at the Burien Clinic and one of the process owners for this workshop along with Dr. Nick Jansen. We're going to be using this 30-day newspaper to help keep us accountable and track our action items moving forward. So we'll take a bunch of the tools that our team has created through this week and roll them out to the clinics.
And I just want to say how proud I am of these team members who created this work. It's, you're looking at basically the ambassadors of this work as we go around to the clinics and ask for commitment from our providers and staff to implement this. And so I just want to highlight again just how proud I am of them. Our next steps is to go around the clinic and ask for commitment in a respectful way. I want to give a special kudos to all the Burien Clinic providers. We are really struggling with access there, and all of them have agreed to move to this template. In fact, the templates have all been converted for all of them, and they will go live as of June 3rd. And so we're real hopeful to get others on board as well. So.
So, lessons learned from our week. Wow, just how much work can be done when you get the right people in the room. We were able to bring PARs, MAs, providers, and staff from our Tacoma patient access team, along with, most importantly, a patient. We were able to bring Hansen to our workout session so that we could ask her questions that we needed to ask a patient. She was also to give us really good feedback. And if any of you know Madge, she didn't hold back. Lessons also learned where defects can be passed down so easily in the most apparent, simplest processes. How simple should it be that we just have a patient call and that they should be scheduled? But you saw it's not that simple, but we have simplified it this week. It's possible for us to turn I cans into I cans. We said at the beginning of the week, I can't get my patients in. And we turned it around to I can get my patients in. And without strong leadership to support this work, it wouldn't be possible. So kudos to everybody that's here to help support us, and thank you very much. I also would like to thank many, many people on this list, and many, many more, for all of your support, especially the Burien Clinic, the Westwood Clinic, and the Seahurst Clinic, because they were able to pitch in so that their team members could come up here and do the great work that they have done. So now I would like to turn this over to Rhonda Stewart. She is our sensei from Virginia Mason that's been coaching us along the way.
Hi, again, my name is Rhonda Stewart. I come from the Virginia Mason Institute, and my role this week is sensei, but it's a coach. It's sensei with a small s. And so I was coaching Lee and Erica for their certification. And so Lee has to do her workshop lead in the next RPAW, so that's her next task. But Erica has just about finished and put a bow on everything, so she has a final report to do. So you'll hear more about that soon. I want to thank the team. This was a team that was from each of the different clinics, so cross-functional, so that it's easy to spread. We did all of our testing there at Burien, but it makes it easier to spread when you get that buy-in from the other clinics, and our experts from the call center as well. A couple of quotes from the team this week. So one from a physician at the beginning of the week said, if at the end of the week my schedule is full, and I didn't have to spend the time arranging it, then that's a good day, right? And we're hoping that's what we can do, is taking the daily arrangement of the schedule potentially away from the provider so that we know what that provider prefers. A team member said that scheduling is risky. The PARs can't schedule without getting yelled at. And a lot of that had to do with the 15 versus the 30, the 20 versus the 40, right? There won't be any yelling with 20-minute slots. It'll just be what it is. And it's up to you to limit how many 20s you have an hour. From a patient, we heard that when I saw a new doc, he knew all about me, right? And so some of our patients, they aren't afraid to see a new doc. If they need to get in, they need to get in. And if their doctor filled up today's access, they'll go and see another doctor. The clinics aren't that far apart. She said, yeah, I'd go to Seahurst and see another doctor. We share an electronic health system, right? And since you do, you can share that record, it's not paper. And so you can share that record, and that information is readily available for that other physician. This week, the team learned to respect the blocks. It's difficult to respect the blocks. I want to get this patient in. I'm going to search manually to find a slot tomorrow to get this patient in, and the patient just needs a PAP, right? And I've just kicked out a slot for a patient who has a more serious and needs to get in a little more urgently. And that sends these patients to prompt care, right? So how can we pull those patients back from prompt care and have them seen more often by their team, their PCP or their team? This RIPW was really based on the variation and getting that variation to standardization. A lot of the work around documenting, they did a lot of documenting processes, but there was already a lot of standard work documented out there. And so it's how do we share that information, share those tips that some people know and other people don't know, and then have a training plan to be able to give our employees the tools they need to do their job, right? And remove that burden. In this, there's also not just standard work for the employees, but there's standard work for those leaders. So what are you learning? Who's in Lean for Leaders? Okay, look at that room. You're all here. Okay, great. So you're learning, who's going to do session 6 next month? Right? So in session 4, 5, and 6, you're learning about leaders' standard work. Right? What are those daily routines a leader needs to do to sustain improvement? Right? I need to huddle with my staff. Well, today in huddle we might talk about session limits. Tomorrow we might talk about the slots, the 20-minute slots. So how do you use your daily management in order to sustain some of these improvements? And then your leader standard work around rounding. How do I round on the Gemba? How do I have physical standard work that's documented and then go and check and make sure that they're answering the phones the way they should be, right? And that they're not handing off, and get those rocks in the shoes from the nurse that says, they keep sending me patients that they don't need to be sending me. They should just schedule these. Right? And so how do you get those rocks in the shoes out? You follow that leader standard work. So it's a very important piece that will help with this. And we have really strong process owners, and they're going to help sustain in the future. So I'm really proud of this group. So thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Vicki Jimenez, and I'm the executive sponsor for this value stream in primary care, and also one of the 2 sponsors along with John Lee for this particular RPIW. When we started this RPIW on day 1 and we were looking at the target progress report, I pointed out to the team that up to 50% of our patients were unhappy with the appointment time that they were given. It really hurts, doesn't it? And it's really disheartening. That's a lot of patients that are unhappy with the times that we've given them. So part of their challenge for the week was to change that and really look at what does the patient want, when does the patient want to be seen, and to bust those barriers. And I think you've seen today that they've really accomplished that. They're making some drastic changes. And you heard one schedule is going to have availability for 14 more patients a week. Multiply that by how many primary care providers are in the HIghline region. That's a lot of appointments that we've been missing out on. You also saw the value stream map at the beginning that had all the cloudbursts on there. I like to count them. I'm obsessed with counting them. And those cloudbursts represent defects or waste in our process. There were 27 of those on that sheet of paper. No wonder we couldn't get our patients in. We were making the process so difficult for ourselves, and how unfair was that to our patients? When I counted how many red X's were on that sheet yesterday, there are only 7 of those cloudbursts left. There was a tremendous amount of work done between the 5S'ing, the waste walks, creating standard work. As some of you in the room know, this is the 3rd time I've sponsored one of these events. And so it's the 3rd time I've walked in and did an intro and walked back out and let the team do the work. And I have to tell you, I have yet to be let down. I have yet to be disappointed. I am thrilled with the work this team did. You know, this is 3 in a row, and we saw the diagnostic imaging work done too, so we've done 4 of these. This really shows us that this is the right process to use to really get to the process improvement and the standard work that we need, keeping our patients front and center. So I thank you all for all you did all week. fabulous job. I'm proud of each and every one of you for the work that you do.
Hi, my name is John Lee. I, also with Vicki, have the good privilege of being one of the sponsors for this RPIW. And what an exciting week it's been. Scheduling is something that I try to tackle as a manager, as a director, multiple times. And I know a lot of you guys have also tried to tackle this. To see the progress that they've made in just 1 week, all the variations we have from provider to provider, clinic to clinic, region to region, is that really a value add for the providers, the staff, and the patients? And it's clear from this work, we can see it was not. So going from 91 appointment types down to 14, 85% reduction in waste. I'm so excited to see what's to come of this work. I am just excited to see the progress. And I think the work that you guys done this week is gonna not just be for HIghline, but for the entire organization moving forward. It's gonna change everything. So thank you for all the work that you guys done, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
We would now like to do a 90-day update from our outpatient value stream. So I would like to welcome Russ Woolley and Scott Kennard, who are our sponsors for that work.
Thanks, Tony. So I'm Russ Woolley, Chief Operating Officer for HIghline Medical Center, and Scott is our President of our medical staff. So just as a reminder, our work was focused on the process it takes from ordering provider, referring a patient for an outpatient image, like an MRI, for example, through the process, through the pre-authorization process, all the way until the patient receives the exam. What we found is that this is a very complicated process. There were a lot of challenges and barriers and defects. So the team has worked really hard over the last 90 days, implementing the lean principles, mistake proofing, quality inspection before we pass patients on through the process. And one of the biggest changes that we made is we added a quality inspection to the order prior to that order being processed and scheduled. So prior to the patient being scheduled, the order is being quality inspected by a radiology technologist to ensure that it's the right order, that there's not a defect in the order. And through doing that, we've been able to reduce our defects quite a bit, and Scott will speak to some of the numbers.
Hi, I'm Scott Kennard, President of the medical staff, also anesthesiologist by trade, so this was a new world for me. And I've learned a lot. As Russ spoke to, it's an amazingly complex process, and the knowledge and skill base of the people involved is very impressive. But like many of us, we want to do our best work, but we find that we work within a system, and to change that system takes a lot of work, and these folks put in a lot of work to make a major change. What I would point out is our defects, specifically our cancellations. I can't see this well from this angle, but we went from a
7.42.
We went from a scheduling defect where from 52% down to 5%. So, thanks. So that was a very major issue that really was solved. It was very impressive that we were able to come up with those numbers. And more importantly, patients being canceled for authorization defect, usually because we were authorizing the wrong procedure. The patient shows up, the tech goes, "You don't need that." And so you have to cancel and start over. And some patients, this occurred up to 3 times. We had some horror stories from patients that was really sad, and it wasted everybody's time. And meanwhile, we're sitting and doing nothing in our imaging study. And also, as those of you who work on campus know, and probably those of you who don't work on campus, finding your way around is not easy. And we recognize right away that if you're authorized, you have the right study, and you show up half an hour late, it really, either throws a wrench in the work or you get canceled. So we recognize that there needs to be a change in how our patients are notified of where they are supposed to be. And actually, we discovered that the phone message to the patient was telling many of the patients to go to the wrong place. So that was our rework, and we've gotten our patients down to, 12% are not able to arrive at the correct place, but that's a marked improvement from 52%. We're still working on it. We have new signage coming to help at least with some of the areas. Obviously, the campus needs to be re-signed, but that's another story. But also with taking this extra quality step, everything has a price. And the price is that it takes a bit longer now to schedule, and we won't schedule because of this quality step. We don't want to schedule a patient for the wrong procedure and get them in here on time for the wrong procedure. And so by asking for, and we're working on the times, but still, by requiring this step to occur, we're lengthening the time to get to the procedure. So we're working on that as well.
Finally, I'll just add, now we're at a point where we're realizing that our partnership with the scheduling office is so important to getting these patients in and scheduled appropriately, and they've had some challenges as well. So we're starting a daily huddle that actually starts on Monday with a new dashboard that shows us exactly the number of referrals that are in the queue, what the next day schedule utilization is, and forecast that out over the next 2 weeks, so that on a daily basis we can be sure we're allocating the right resources to get these patients scheduled and get these long queues down to same day. That's really the goal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So that does conclude the formal part of our report out. I do want to allow anyone in the room to ask a question of the team if they have one. So I'll go ahead and open that up.
I have a question. Well, as a provider, I can't wait till June 3rd. I think this is simple, easy, awesome. So great work. And my question is, patient access is going to drive our success for this, both as a concept of patient access and as a department of patient access. So how do you all feel about patient access after this week?
What do you guys think?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a whole new respect for patient access. And, you know, it's very easy to place the blame somewhere else. But they schedule appointments and take messages for well over 100 providers. And they are doing the best they can with the tools that they have, and I think it's a pretty good job. No, it's a great job. And I think that with this process, everyone is going to find that it's going to be a much cleaner, less finger pointing time for all of us.
I have a question. I thought I heard on Wednesday talk of creating capacity in the schedule for more same-day access for like emergency department follow-up. Can someone speak a little bit more to that, what that looks like?
So, I can talk to that. What we did is currently some providers have maybe 2 same-day holds per day, and because there's no accessibility for future appointments and they're booked out to May, they're using those same days to get patients in that they need to see within a week or so.
Guilty.
So with the future template, what we've done is created 20-minute appointments. In the mid-morning as well as mid-afternoon, there's a non-scheduled appointment section block to allow buffer for any appointments that go over. So it kind of gives a safety zone to the provider. Along the same lines, we've created about 3 same-day appointments per day that are just same days released that day. We've also added 1 ED/hospital follow-up appointment per day to each schedule, in addition to 2 transitional care management appointments per week per provider. So those are potentially 5 blocks per day that would open up that day that could be used for same-day appointments.
And those are new, that'll start in June?
Correct.
Don't exist
Yeah.
today?
Yeah, it's kind of, there's 2 layers to that. One is it's a data-driven process. So some providers may need, more same days than 2 a day. Some may need more than 2 TCMs a week. So it's data-driven, and it's a manual process, but we're going to tally that. But the second piece is we all have to kind of dig deep and be accountable for those slots and really honor them. Because if we're kind of going back to the old way where we just kind of put people wherever we can find them, they won't be available, and it'll kind of work against us. So there's an accountability piece that we have to work on too.
So I'm a full provider, like I'm maxed out every single day, and I hear we're going to make 3 more appointment slots per day, if I'm listening correctly, about 14 extra patient visits a week.
So based on the way the schedule is built, it actually allows you to see more patients, just by the way that it's built out. So you wouldn't necessarily increase the hours that you're working. Because of the blocks that are written, the way that they're built out, it allows a little bit more flexibility, but at the same time opens up more openings. Because, so say you have an ED follow-up, and a TCM that same day. Those are 2 slots that are booked. 72 hours prior to that day, those will open up if they haven't been filled. And so that allows, say, somebody calling 2 days before, whereas they had to wait till your schedule is open 3 months from now, they now have those 2 blocks to use if they need it.
Right. So I heard that. So I see anywhere from 20 to 22 patients a day, and my time's max, like I can't breathe.
Correct.
Right? So, but I just heard I'm seeing 3 to 4 more patients a day.
So your schedule is at 15:30, or do you do all 30?
I do 15 and 30.
So if you're anything like me, what's happening is I find that there's an hour where there's 2 30 minutes, and then there's an hour where there's 4:15, and then they have 2 15 minutes or another 4:15. So that 2 hours, I feel like I'm running behind and just chasing my tail and can't get anything done, and then I'm playing catch up the rest of the day.
Right.
Whereas if I have the 2 30-minute slots, it's slower, I have time to breathe. So that's what this is getting away from. It's averaging out to 3 patients an hour. So some acute visits may only take 10 minutes, but we're still giving you that 20-minute slot to buffer it. So that's where you're running into, I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. And the hope is that because we have those limits now and you have that buffer time, you have that time to breathe so it's not as packed and you're not running all around like you do currently.
I think the idea is that the pace of the day is a little bit better regulated, rather than when it's 15:30, there's really no regulation to that pace. You can have 15 minutes in a row, and that's where you start to feel like, man, I can't breathe, I don't have 1 more minute to spare.
So Marnie might see 24, but feel like he only saw 21.
Right.
Because the pace of the day is...
Thanks, Francis. I appreciate your confidence.
It's interesting too, Tony was sharing an interesting statistic with me this morning that I had forgotten about. Our first RPIW and all the time observations that we did with rooming showed us that on average across all the 5 clinics, we spend about 22 minutes on average seeing a patient, across all the clinics. So it's interesting, right? It doesn't feel that way sometimes, but that's actually what we're doing. So this template actually kind of aligns with that.
And did I hear there's a gap too for catch-up times as well?
Yes.
One up, one down.
So again, as a clinic administrator, when there's a gap, that actually comes out of your FTE. So are we going to be making an exception here? So if we have patient or providers who make blocks and they're scheduled for a half hour for breathing or whatever, but that comes out of their FTE, it won't do that. Check, thank you.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marty, I just want to give you an example. I have session limits where I'm supposed to have 1 30-minute and 2 15s, and obviously they're not working.
Right.
But I've had days where I've had 26, 27 patients on my schedule, and if they were scheduled with my session limits in mind, it actually is an easy day. So I'm really looking forward to the 20 minutes because I think it'll make life easier.
Right. I mean, I averaged over 25 each day this week.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marty. Any other questions from the team?
So June 3rd, right? But that's I mean, when is it going to go through peers? When do you want it to go to peers? That's the thing. I mean, for primary care. Yeah. and I'm really impressed that Dr. Martin is there with you. So I couldn't believe it at first. Thank you for.
So
Dr. Mercado, maybe I can speak to that a little bit. Of course, all the work we've done in the RPIWs, we want to roll out to the rest of the organization. And I think we have to plan very carefully. We need to really test this and make sure bugs are worked out. But not only that, is if we just go to other clinics in other regions and say, here's your new work, to them it feels the same as it's always been. It's just administration handing it to them. So we have to be very careful in how we plan and involve them in their own rollouts so that they can make it what their own and have the buy-in to that. Otherwise, there's no difference.
Because I imagine we can't go through this whole process over again in Pierce, right? It's going to be a much more abbreviated, expedited process, but you still want them to have some ownership into it.
Yes.
So one of the things that we are looking at as we're expanding and maturing is how do we roll standard work out? And one of the things that we could, that we're kind of talking about is how do we have a standard work guiding team that has representation from all of the clinics regionally so that we can offer standard work for testing to other clinics, because they may have really brilliant solutions to make our standard work even better. And so we're really starting to work on how to expand into that kind of a thing, especially for the FMG clinics, because we get emails and calls daily in the KPO office saying, hey, can I have that? And right now we need a plan. And so we're just really trying not to just pass standard work everywhere, because it does continue to feel really top down. And so Vicki and I are working really hard to figure out what that would look like. But we desperately know that there's a need. The other thing that we try to do is we try to present all of the work to the FMG ops team. And we presented around our referral coordinator stuff because we knew that we were having kind of system-wide impact. Yeah, and I think that this RPW as well needs to go in front of FMG ops. Number one, to celebrate all the super great work, and also to kind of keep them updated on the testing that'll happen in the HIghline region while we figure out if that's something that other clinics might want to take on. So we have to think about that constantly as well, as it can't just necessarily live up here, and we can't run RPIWs in all the clinics as well.
But I'd invite you, Dr. Mercado, to come up in June and visit with these folks and see how it's working. Come see it live. Yeah.
He said he's going to see her.
If there are no more questions, I will dismiss. Thank you so much for attending our RPIW report out. Thank you.